few other things.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I'm happy with the digital. I'm not happy that I'm fabricating all kinds of things in Photoshop now.
Did you ever think at the beginning of digital that you would ever be happy with it?
I left as soon as I had to buy a digital camera, the first one in 2000 or 1998, I think. I was very fast to say goodbye to it. I saw the possibilities of digital, and I didn't want to mess around with this, so I bought 2 of those. And I now regret, because...
What were they?
D2000.
Okay.
Canon D2000. So the ones that you went 3, 2, 1, click. Timing, 3, 2, 1, click, and because it has this video lab, everything nowadays is 25 times faster than that camera. But I nailed, because from film and one shooting one image, you know how to time. So it's like really 3, 2, 1 image, and then you had the ball on his head or the scoring the goal. But there's only one, or it went 2 frames a second, and you had these digital cards with 120 megabytes, and it was 1100 guilders.
I know,
man,
I know.
Amazing. But yeah, it went fast, and I don't think we need much more improvement, but it'll be here. I mean, the telephones are getting better every day.
So what do you shoot with at the moment?
Canon, making a transition to Sony.
Well, okay, so anyway, we've been live for a while now, so you didn't know that. So it's always the best way to get into it.
Good.
And so I'm just going to introduce you, Michael
Kooren.
Kooren. I still can't do the Dutch double O thing, but anyway, it's Michael Kooren, and you're a Reuters press photographer.
I work for
primarily.
Reuters. Yeah, well, I've done news so many years that when I started in 2000, I was the backup for a guy who was a regular, a staffer, and he was laid off 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, and they kept me.
Yeah.
They said we want just freelancers. This was the new company policy. So I stayed on as freelancer from 2000, so that's 18 years now. And yeah, it's nice. You get all the good assignments in news. And yeah, if you're late with an application for, I was late for this stuff that I did yesterday. I put it in concepts and I forgot to send it, and when I said, oh shit, I'm 2 days late for the application. Please? Oh yeah, no problem. Reuters, you're on the list.
Cool.
I mean, that's really a big advantage of working for a major agency.
So really, on a day-to-day basis, you have no idea what you're...
Nah,
do you get to cherry pick? Cause
first of all, I watch out for the news in Holland myself. Then we have a desk who does their specials on a woman 2 weeks ago, a woman who chose to end her life when she chooses by taking a special poison, which is available on the internet. Yeah. We did an interview with her. I can't think of that subject unless they tell me we're going to do an interview with this lady. Yeah. Go to Zwolle, take pictures of her, and it'll be a big story.
So you don't choose your stories?
Feature stories, no. Right. But news stories, there is hardly any spot news in Holland.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is orchestrated. Everybody knows when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then 25 or 100 photographers show up, and everybody tries to get a spot news picture. But it's been announced many months before, weeks ago, or whatever. Yeah. Spot news is when they run down someone on the street, and then people with an iPhone will get it first.
Yeah.
This is the audience. Or these people, journalism.
So okay, let's start with this as a topic then. So how much do you think these things are changing what you do? Are they?
They're changing it a lot. I mean, newspapers are already depending on it for a large part. They all have, if you have nice pictures, send them to us.
Yeah, I go on the BBC website quite a lot. That's where I pretty much is my bullet point to go and see if anything's happened in the world. And when there's a disaster or there's a terrorist attack or there's something big that has happened, you scroll to the bottom and it just has this little form at the bottom. It says, were you there?
Yeah.
Text us your thoughts and text us your images. So it's like they don't go out and get the news. They don't go and cover the news anymore. They just let the general public do it.
They'll go, but they're a half hour late or 2 hours late.
Exactly. So, and they're just like kind of trawling.
Yeah.
To get, it's just opportunism, isn't it? Really?
For old guys like me, it's a little bit it's uncomfortable, because when Joe in the street has the picture, BBC will maybe have the courtesy to say, okay, how much do you want for that? 55 or 50 pounds, 75 pounds, and the guy thinks, whoa, do I get my name? Yes, my name's in there too.
And you get your name.
And you can, well, any news agency or with a stabbing in the street or those kind of examples would say, okay, that's a picture that goes out worldwide. We have three digits behind the one at least.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem with professional journalism. They're buying or getting for free all these images from people who are very happy to have their name under the picture, and we have to find a way to cope with this, to deal with it.
But that's what technology has done in everywhere where technology has moved in, right?
Yeah,
when it democratizes and
you
reduces the skill level.
You can sit down and moan, but you have to think of ways to beat, to be exceptional, to do something better.
Okay, so that's my next question then. So how much do you think striving for quality fits in what you do as a news photographer? Because like you said, I've worked with news agencies before and taught their photographers and showed them different ways of really quickly, massively increasing the quality of their image to then send it. Let's just say it had mixed reviews. It's kind of, because there's a certain level of quality you just have to get to, and that's quite low in the great scheme of things.
True.
So, and you would sometimes go to a news story and you would be there with, like you said, a spot news thing. You could be there with 100 other people just like you, looking for a shot, all racing to get your one.
Well, look at the baby picture of Kate. I mean,
yeah.
I haven't looked on the other side, but believe me, there were more than 75 photographers.
Yeah. So how much is quality a part of your thought when you're next to all the guys and you've got your elbows out and you're on your stairs? And
I always try to get...
Are you thinking quality or just thinking only speed?
No, I first have to get it sharp, get it well lit. And if I have the certain picture, if I know I've got it, I can go out and freak some more, really close, really wide, because I know I've got a backup picture that will do the job. Then it's already out, it's already sent from the camera, and then they don't want 25 of the same images, they'll want something else. Maybe they want something wide, or what's below, what's he wearing, vertical, horizontal. Of course, you try to beat the guy next to you, but you never know how inventive he is going to be. I mean, it's just, I just try to do the best I can on that day, and sometimes even better.
But you go there as a kind of an employee, or as a consultant, or a freelancer?
I'm a freelancer.
You're a freelancer, but you're a kind of a, in a sense, in that, are you a closed freelancer in a sense, because you're
no, I do everything for Reuters in Holland. Right. Okay. But it's an understanding. I don't have a written contract.
No. Okay. But then you would be next to somebody who would be a complete freelancer, and then he would just be trying to sell that, or hoping he would be able to sell that to just anybody.
Then I have a big advantage, because even though it has never motivated me to know that I'm going to get my money anyway. Yeah. If I don't send anything, but if I don't send anything for 3 days in a row, my job's over. I mean, they're that rough stuff on you. Of course, you have to deliver, but I know if I'm there, I'm going to get paid anyway. But that doesn't keep me from trying to get the best picture. Even if it's my best friend on my left or my best friend on my right, I'll elbow my way in front of them to get that best picture.
Stick your hand over the lens.
No, that happens, but then you get another elbow a little bit higher.
That must have happened, though.
Oh, not with me, but I've seen it happen.
It must have happened where you just stick your shoulder in front of somebody's.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen them I've seen them punch people in the face. you do get a high level of adrenaline in some instances. If you got only 30 seconds and there are 25 people in the room, or you cannot fight. The one I did one with the king yesterday, and you run into a room guided by people from the royalty, and you get 30 seconds, and you cannot even move to another spot because you have to shoot. Right. When you're there, if you move, that's 15 seconds again. Try to get in. Okay. So you sit and you take a picture, and then by picture number 10, maybe 15, okay, that's it, out. You really have adrenaline to try to get 3 or 4 different pictures from a single image. So,
and this would all be JPEG, right?
Yeah, for my agency, for a few years now, we shoot images straight from the camera to the desk in Poland or in Singapore, and they edit. And the only thing I have to do is to get a good picture, well lit, sharp, and preferably looking into the camera, something like this, if it's a portrait.
Okay.
And that works most of the time. Sometimes you run into a situation which you have never been in, and it's completely yellow, the light. How am I ever going to make a white balance of a little thing that I have with me, a gray card, or change it? Then JPEG is a big problem.
So that's what you do, though. So you shoot a gray card.
I have a little collapsible.
And then you shoot it, and then you look at the picture, use it to make a custom white balance. You make that gray.
That's it.
And
if I have a time before, sometimes like yesterday I had a banquet, and I said, can I please go inside, check the light, because I've never been in this room. They have a palace with 25 different places.
Yeah.
I've never been in this room. So sure, go in. I took a white balance, and it was my lowest 2500 ISO Kelvin. Couldn't go lower, but was still yellow. Okay, I can't do anything more than that.
Yeah.
I can do in post, but I'll let them do it in Gdansk or in Singapore.
And you're not that you can control whether they do it or not, but like emotionally you're kind of happy that they are going to then fix it.
No, I don't like a camera.
Like
I don't like to send an image which is not to my standard.
Right.
I would color correct it in 2 clicks, but that's not what they want.
And you really and they refuse to let you.
Well, the worst
change
thing
it.
The worst thing that can happen to you, they'll accept many times, but the worst thing that can happen to you is to say, hey, you've been doing something to the image. Leave it to us.
How would they know that?
They check every day. They go in histograms where they see little holes in the histogram. Normally histogram is one solid. If you go into auto levels, for instance, or auto, you'll see little gaps in the.
Yeah, but that's only while the image is open, and that's nothing.
No, they open the image and they check on the right.
No, but once you've saved the image and open it again, you won't see those lines again because it's a brand new start point.
I don't know how to do it.
So how do they know?
They know if I change it from RAW to JPEG.
Yeah.
They know.
Okay.
And I have to send it again.
Okay. So, what was I going to ask there? I was going to ask you something there. So you wouldn't. Do you see anybody working like this where they shoot with a wireless card that shoots straight to a computer? That means they can then edit, micro edits, small edits, maybe even via an iPad or something, and then send to the desk via that device.
No, it saves you. I save time by sending straight from the camera to my desk. There's
but
nothing in
for
between.
you to go click and go to a computer.
No, I don't do it through a computer.
No, I'm just saying if you went click to a computer and that's all happening, and you don't have to make that happen, it's just live, and then you look, say, like in the bridge or photo mechanic or whatever it is, and then you just see slightly too much yellow, and you just want to bring it down and rebalance it because you couldn't get it right at the time. I mean, that amount of time would be before you could just open it, make a tiny change, save it, and then send it.
45 seconds.
The difference would be, maybe a minute, and that would be critical.
Yep.
Fuck. Really critical.
Really, yeah.
Really critical. Because these guys at the other end are actually sitting there waiting for it to turn up.
I'm chatting with them before. So okay, this is my slug. Picture's coming at 8:45. Let's take a soccer match, which is when I usually transmit from camera most. And then they're looking at screens, they got all the lineup, they got all the names, and they're only waiting for my first picture to land, preferably within 3 or 4 minutes. Because people can't understand this. When I shoot it at 8:45 or 8:50 at Champions League game, somewhere in the world there's a deadline at 8:50. So the first picture in from any agency will get published. Sharp, well lit, and somebody who's preferably someone they know. Not a Joe unknown, but preferably one of the star players. After that, it's relaxed time. You should wait other 10 minutes, you send some more if you have something else. The first picture is critical, because if later on you'll check, it's not that they're waiting for the best picture to land, they're waiting for a very decent picture to land so they can start their deadline, they can have the picture.
So would you have liked to have been at Anfield last night as a press photographer?
I would have been crazy. But then again, this method of sending from the camera would allow me, instead of what you're telling me, I've done that, and I still do it sometimes, go to the computer and then send it.
Yeah.
But it allowed me to shoot the whole game instead of missing at least a third by editing and missing a goal. Because yesterday was crazy.
Yeah.
You would look at your computer and you see Salah making another goal.
What a game of football.
Fabulous.
Come on. You see, my philosophy with football is it's just crap now in comparison to how it used to be. But then, when a game like that happens yesterday, it is so much better than it ever used to be before. When you know what I mean? So we watch.
But they're rare.
We watch so much. Yeah, exactly. And this is the problem. Because of that game yesterday.
Plus the one with Liverpool, Manchester City, and Rome. The whole the quarterfinals were spectacular.
Yeah. And Liverpool have been very, very good, increasingly so since they got the Dutch guy Van Dijk and Wijnaldum. I really like Wijnaldum. He's so understated. There is not a molecule of ego in that man. He's just so calm all the time, and he never does anything flashy. He's just that dependable person that. And like I was saying to Ron yesterday when we were here working, that in a football team you need 7 of those. So you can have 4 superstars. You can't have 11 Messis or 10 Messis. So so this thing about critical time and everything, I'm going to play devil's advocate here slightly, because isn't it actually just the case of we can have it, so why can't we have it? You know what I mean? It's possible, so this is now the new normal.
It's the normal standard.
Because you've been doing this for nearly 40 years, right? And as we was talking about before, as a percentage for, say, 3/4 of your life, you dealt with film. Okay?
Started in '79 and changed to digital in 2000.
Okay, so let's say 2/3 instead of 3/4.
Yeah.
2/3 in one format for a long time.
Yeah.
That pretty much was the same, right? There was no film that came out that speeded up the process. There was no chemistry that came out that could do it 5 times quicker. You know what I mean? There would be small changes in quality of film, sure, but the amount of time that it went from click to delivering, because the mechanism was very different then, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then so you wouldn't have if you were a publisher, you wouldn't have the immediacy of the picture.
I think it took 20 minutes to get the picture from, well, maybe, sort of like 20 minutes.
So what I'm saying is, 10 years ago, it took 20 minutes maybe, or half an hour to get the picture.
When we were shooting film.
Yeah, yeah. So what has changed at the end of publishing that causes them to need it within a minute?
It's the modern day life. It's telephone, it's internet, it's everything.
No, but what's changed in their schedule that now means that they have to have it, and then they will restrict your ability to make the images better? Because my guess is, if they said to you, you got 10 minutes an image, you would love that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, sure.
Because you could relax, you'd take better shots, you would then be able to give them what you might consider to be a 9 out of 10 image, because you can then correct, because cameras only go so far, right? They don't make the final, you know, they're just photocopiers, and they're not actually very good. So if you had the chance to take the picture and spend 5 minutes to then just now tweak it with your experience to get it the way that you know it was at the time, you would like that, wouldn't you?
I would like that, but my pictures wouldn't be, nowadays, they wouldn't be published.
Yeah, I know, but all I'm trying to work out, because it's been a long time since I worked in the publishing area, is what changed at their end to cause it all to become this.
Internet.
No, but their dates are based, their time is based on, it used to be, the press is running in 10 minutes. So they're still using the same presses.
Well, I think most of the publications are done on the internet.
But now there's internet.
No presses.
No, exactly. But the old thing used to be, everything used to go via a printing press. So when that button went on the press, like it's starting to move, you know, you've lost. You're not on it.
That's it. You're lost.
And now, because there's the immediacy of publishing is like right now, and people want to be publishing while events are happening now.
Yeah, actually they are.
Yeah.
So no, the whole thing has changed. There is printed press, I think, 5 or 10 years gone.
Yeah.
And that has to do with my age, people who still read. Young people, I don't see them reading newspapers in 10 years.
No, you don't.
My kids forget about it, you know, no newspapers, and they're in their 20s. I give them a subscription to a good newspaper. I don't bother. I'm not reading it anyway. I read it on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's a trend I think is overtaking. It's unfortunate, because great to read printed stuff.
But then, isn't that just not the case for everything that's done quickly? But isn't immediacy at the sacrifice of quality?
Yeah, absolutely.
Always.
Always, yeah.
Period.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Because the problem with the problem with, yeah, no, let's have a look at it. Yeah.
Because you said yesterday, and I said, well, I'm busy.
Yeah, this is what you did yesterday.
Well, what are two of them? The opening and one of the last.
Yeah, sure.
The left is the scene which you are on a scaffold scaffold. Is that
let me do the cheapest form of zooming here that I can do for people.
So we had a state visit of the president of Mexico and his wife, and they are always welcomed in this square. It's behind the Royal Palace Noordeinde. And they put us on a little high, is it called a scaffold?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can stand and shoot one wide. That's what I mean. You get a wide, a medium close with the two flags. I don't show it, but then you get a real close of the four of them standing there with a 400, and then they do a round around the right side. They bow in front of the orange flag. That's standard. Yeah. They come around it to check the troops, and then I'm on the right. I'm the pool photographer in this case. We rotate, and you get it to be in a space for.
So you say pool photographer.
Pool means I share with people who are in that Dutch pool: AP, Associated Press, ANP, and Reuters. So if they don't have space enough for many photographers, we have an international rota pool, and we share images. So I take pictures which will be in the competitor's database with AP and otherwise around. Next time it'll be an AP photographer giving us the stuff.
Right.
But I was lucky. Usually it's not very spectacular, but I was lucky in this case that...
Yeah, that caught the moment.
Yeah, he is reading... So, there was something going on between them a couple of years ago with a phrase in Spanish. This is our king on the right, and his wife, queen, on the left, and she's from Spanish, from Argentinian descent, and she taught him a sentence, something with shrimp, and it was supposed to be funny, but the only Latin American country, I don't know exactly how it was, but the only Latin American country that the exact phrase means something really ridiculous is Mexico. Mm. So when the prince went there and he wanted to make a funny statement to break the ice, he said something, I don't really know what it is anymore, but he cracked up, and he referred to that, and then he had shrimp, they had for starters a shrimp cocktail.
Right.
It's really so that was funny, and I was there, and I got it. This was the terrible light. I did something to it, but this is not how the picture went out. The picture went out much yellower. Couldn't help it. Okay. But I didn't want to show it all that yellow, so
these are edited by, these are your versions of them. So I've got to ask you about this one, because the very first thing that came to mind here was
camera?
No. Look how straight all the lines are.
Yeah.
So that's being fixed by you, yeah?
No, I have all the time to hold the camera straight. I mean, where's the pressure?
No. What I'm saying is the
conversion. No, it's straight. I took some off straight on the bottom, and that's it. The lines on the top I have that in my camera with.
So you haven't distorted to make everything aligned. No. Okay. So you mentioned something at the beginning, actually, which is a little splinter in my head, because I said, what camera do you use? And you said, I use Nikon, but I'm converting, Canon, sorry, I'm converting to Sony. You wouldn't be the only person that has had that.
I'm going to give it a try. I've got 5 cameras, and all of them Canon. Some of them I'm hardly using, so I'm going to trade those in for the latest Sony. I work with it for a month now. This would have been spectacular on the new Sony with the high ISO.
What does it do different than the Canon that makes you want to jump?
Quality-wise, if I shoot at 6,000 ASA and Sony.
So the lack of noise at high ISO.
This is shot in a Canon 1DX, which is an older version of the latest. Maybe the latest will do the thing for me, but I don't want to invest 2 times €6,500.
Yeah.
When I can get the same result on half the price.
Yeah.
Plus the lenses are spectacular. The whole feel is good. I liked it. I liked.
There's a number of really prominent people on the website.
Maybe I'll be disappointed if I use it alone, but I've used it in assignments for my work also, and it looks very good.
There's a number of people on the website. More.
I don't think I'm going to use it for sports at the moment, because I'm very used to the Canon way, and it's always in focus. It's very good. Mm. But they're working on they have a new camera out, maybe, but I'm, as I say, I'm 64, and I'm going to step away from all this heavy stuff. Yeah. And I think then the new choice, Sony, would be my choice.
So this has just popped in my head. So it's not maybe there, because this is, what do you call this? Is this a spot one? No.
You mean, what do you mean spot?
This event.
This is not.
You know that's happening way in advance.
2 weeks in advance.
Yeah, you know that for a long time.
Yeah.
So when you're there with a gaggle of people and
Yeah.
and you're like this, and have you ever seen anybody get their iPhone out and just
all
zoom
the
it up
time.
and go click and go,
all
cool,
the time. I was
good.
standing next to all these Mexican news reporters. They do interviews with this. And
Yeah.
The microphones, and they'll zoom in and click and hold it on selfie sticks, and you have to really work around that. That's big, and they're live with Mexico. They're just
Exactly.
they're on the internet.
No one really knows what is actually really going on. We do it every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're doing live here onto YouTube, and it's just normal to do that. But I think from a society point of view, it's like everything that we look back in time, and when in the history of humans, and there was a really big fuck up at some point in time. Well, nobody knew it was a fuck up at the time. They only knew it afterwards.
Yeah.
And then we look at it in the fullness of time. We go, how could you not have known this was coming? And it's like, I'm wondering whether something like that is going to be applied to this. It's like, you know, because we're so busy trying to still make enough money to pay for mortgages and pay our, you know, so we're still trying to keep an income going. So there's this massive change happening, all these forces coming outside, pushing us to do things that we would not ordinarily have chosen to do. And in 10 years' time, when we look back at this time, we could just be heading for a cliff. You know what I mean? Because the race to the bottom is you all end up doing something for nothing. So in social photography, it's a race to the bottom. It's everybody, because of technology, requiring you to know less skill. So the easiest way for you to go into a market is just to undercut. And if everybody just keeps undercutting each other, then where are you left to go?
And if at one point you say, okay, I could do you a favor, this time it's so and so much. However, you're going to defend the fact that it's 4 times that price or 3 times the price.
Yeah.
You said, no, you did it last time. Or we'll find someone else. It's very hard. It's very hard to, like I say, keep your skills up high and make sure that someone else fucks up and they want to call you back again. Say, listen.
But then I guess you've always got to be looking on the horizon for you to have to look for new clients who are willing to pay. Always. Yeah. Always.
Because I don't think there are very reliable clients or faithful. What is it, faithful? The ones that come back all the time to you.
Okay.
I've had clients for 20 years, and all of a sudden they start, okay, we need a quota from you. We need, what is it this time? I said, well, I've done it for all these years and haven't increased the price. What about the same price? Oh, well, then you're a little bit more expensive than the one we're also considering. Take it or leave it. Do I have the luxury to say leave it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Depends on how nice the client is. If I like doing it, if it's hit the money, take the money and run client, forget about it. You know, I'm not going to do it.
So which do you prefer? Like, gun to your head, you've got 1 second to answer. It has to be an instinctive answer. Film or digital? What do you prefer?
Digital.
You prefer digital, yeah.
The film is a long time gone. My hands are now curing again. I had these...
it's funny you talk about your hands, because you see that there?
Yeah.
These are the last remnants I've got from the skin. I can't remember what it's called. But because I used to use developer, not for like the developer you did, plate developer, I used to use
even more aggressive.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And for 20 years, 2 or 3 times a year, my hands would just dry up and crack.
Do you want to go back
and
to
bleed?
that?
No, I don't. But you see, I've got another little tiny bit has just appeared. It doesn't happen all over my hands anymore. But my left hand, especially because I'm left-handed, used to be like 2 times a year. It would like shed the skin on my hand.
I could still do it. I've had my darkroom for a long time, then I sold it, but I'm pretty sure I've done it so many times, rolling the film, dipping, even in bags, you know, because as a news photographer, you developed in toilets, in hotel rooms, anything to get your film out quick. And it was always messy with your hands, and so it was always a mess.
I mean, the first time I came in contact with one of you guys was in the film days, when in Fleet Street in the UK, when the digital revolution for design happened. So editors became scanner operators, and I had to go and teach them how to scan in pictures. So your pictures would come in, and I'd have to teach them how to scan them, and because they would still be done in the darkroom, but they'd come out as prints, and then they'd need to be scanned in and retouched and everything else. So I was there for months, if not years, doing that kind of stuff with most of the newspapers. And then I can't remember where it was. I think it was the Independent in the UK. I think it was the Independent. Some guy, a photographer, I got talking to him, and he just said, "Come and have a look at my car." And he lifted up his bonnet, and it was a darkroom.
Darkroom, yeah.
It was a darkroom. He had all
that was
he
really
developed
nice.
in there and everything.
I mean, romantically speaking, it was great. I mean, it took the guys from the boys, and there were some news agencies that had a special kind of a van as a dark room, and the front was then the editing. It was spectacular. I mean, everybody wanted something like that. If you didn't have it, you just have to go in a dark room bag with your hands and do it like this. But these cars were great, and I've seen them. That was the nice thing about film, the romantic aspect of
actually, it was the Independent, because it was this one particular photographer. He was one of the older photographers there. I had no idea who he is, but the Independent, they made their name of having the best black and white imagery in their newspaper, and the images were always really big, so they always gave them a lot of space. They would never have too many images on a page, so it'd be a little bit like showing the way it was back then. And God, I mean, we're talking 25 years ago now, and he had to have the final say on how his images were. Wow. And he would make sure he went in the dark room and made sure it was done. But then as soon as his images were going through another process where they were being scanned in and then manipulated by editors, people who had no idea about what images were. He was just running around with a heart attack because he was losing control. Yeah. Because like he'd make black skies, like absolutely black skies.
Quite a bit of difference from how it goes now. I just send from your camera.
Exactly. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. I'm looking back. It was great. I've done the film bit. I've been in the development of the digital camera. Unfortunately, you say, did you regret? No, but did I regret? Yes. The cameras, the D2000 and the Canons that I had. I mean, it's like killing history. All these agencies were on the D2000. The quality was atrocious. You have Camp David. You have all these great summits. Falling of the Berlin Wall, shot on these cameras. I mean, look at the files now. They're just horrendous. I wish they would have been shot on film, but they look so much better.
So because you've gone through this transition over quite a long period of time, and you're connected to a large body of professional photographers, and you watch loads of photographers, and my guess is when you're there with 60 other people, there's a massive wide range of age, okay?
Yeah.
So would you say that you are better suited at being a photographer? No, you are aided in being a better photographer because you went through all those years of film?
I think
your appreciation of image is different than somebody who's just gone, hey, my first camera.
Yeah, no doubt. I think so. Because I look at images probably different because I know what the history is, etc. There are quite a few. I look at my...
so it's your appreciation of quality is probably different rather than what I see with, not all, but a lot of younger people. It's more about, they talk more about the kit they're using than what they produce with the kit.
In the news, not so much. There are some really good young photographers out there, news photographers, absolutely. And they've got all the skills and they're fast developing, and I mean they're really tough competition to keep up with. But that's good.
Yeah, but when you said that though, you went tough competition. You had a little glint in your eye and a little smile came over your face. You like the competition.
I love competition. Yeah. And it's always tough when you see the next day someone else. You think, fuck, you know, why not me?
You go through the newspapers, or you go online and you look at it, and then you go, damn, they used his and not mine.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to get it next time.
If you don't have that, then you have to get out of the news business. I think.
Yeah.
You have to. You always have to be the best. and afterwards have a gin tonic.
You have to strive.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that. Man, next week I'm getting the fridge here,
Yeah,
and the fridge has got a little freezer, and in the freezer there will be some ice.
It'll be coffee.
Because we will certainly need to do this again in the future, and then next time there will be a gin and tonic on the table. And as in lieu of the one that I couldn't make for you today,
give people a wrong impression.
we will go to that one that I told you about. Now let's talk about okay, so you asked me where it is, right? So I don't know where it is exactly, but basically, right, so I live very close to the Dom, and there's a canal that creates a kind of a circle around like a ring road, a ring canal. And if I get to the Dom and I'm looking towards the city, if I go that way, nearly back to me, nearly back, and I walk by a very small canal, and then I reach the big canal, just where there's a small canal and the big canal, Dom there, it's about here. And there is this tiny, I got taken there by Shark, who was here a couple of weeks ago, and he called me up, he said, would you like to come to our bar with us? And this guy just opens up when he wants to.
Good.
It's not every day. He just opens up when he, you know, and it's not 7 days a week. It's like 2 or 3 days a week.
Great.
And he is meticulous in the way that he will serve you a whiskey. And I had this gin and tonic.
We have to go there.
We go there for this gin and tonic because this gin and he gave me a lecture on the perfect gin and tonic because I don't know, you go to most places, a tall glass comes out, it's got a bit of gin, it has a tonic, some ice, they chuck some stuff in it to make it look good, but they're not putting that stuff in based on the taste, it's because of the aesthetic. He made this like he was preparing a patient for heart surgery. It was just like, it took ages, the glass was chilled, and he filled up this glass with ice. And he said, this is the mistake that everybody makes. It's the ratio of ice to liquid. And you go to some places and you just get a glass and it's got 3 ice cubes in it. And I would say, you know, and that's what you normally get. And he said, yeah, that's just appalling. That's not how you do it. So you have a glass filled to the top with ice. And then that way the ratio of what is cold versus the liquid stops the ice from melting so much, so you keep the strong flavour of the gin and tonic for a lot longer. And this bowl was, this glass came, it was like this, and it carefully had all these things put in. I can't remember what he put in it, but oh my God, it was. And then I tasted it, and I couldn't make it last long enough. It was just. So let's go there. Whenever you're free, we'll go there.
I'll take you. See some more?
Yeah, let's have a look at some more. So which one now? The top one?
That was it was 2 years. The top one is I do a lot of sports, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah. Okay.
This was the European Championship Athletics.
Just take this because not all of them are there.
No, that's right.
And I can then zoom up on the ones that you want to show on. So.
And this was just some that I thought would.
Where was this though?
Amsterdam.
Right. Okay.
In the Olympic Stadium. It was the European Championship right before the Olympics. And so I shot something, I selected for myself some, when I have a talk with some people, what do you do? I show them some sports images. And so I, like a feature, I saw this lady on this is what you're waiting for when they hand out prizes. I thought this was much nicer than on top left. And you have a long jump when you don't see anybody, it's just legs and arms. And I thought, oh yeah, just his face in the back. And graphics, nice move over the high bar, this one.
Yeah. So maybe you can tell me to go away here, but metering, obviously from a white balance point of view, you have your mechanism to do that, but what metering mode do you use when you shoot?
If the light is like it is here, it's hand metering, manual. If it changes a lot, I use shutter speed priority. You know, I can be.
So you have a handheld light meter. No. You use the camera as the light meter, but which program where you've got lots of different programs, whether it's center weighted?
Center weighted, yeah.
Right, that's what I mean. Which one of those?
No, center weighted, and then I'll make one image and think, oh, this is good. Look at histogram. This is fine.
Okay, cool.
And then I'll shoot at that time until it starts dark or if the sun comes out, I shoot to the other one again, because these cameras are so advanced that they're very good at metering. And I can be the smart aleck and say I shoot everything manually focused, forget about it.
No, but
then I will be under focus for a while.
Yeah, but I meet a lot of people who do put their chest out and they go, yes, I use manual. But yeah, but you're using the metering inside the camera, so it's not manual. Why not shoot aperture priority?
Yeah, why not? I mean, could be done.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, well, sometimes when you have a dark background, like the lady over there.
But you've got more to do.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you've got more things to think about.
Yeah, true. So I have to go minus and a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is what I like to do, sports. And
absolutely.
Then, over these years, I've done quite a few things. You have people cheering and not making it, and celebrating on the stage, and some little action on a dull picture. Normally, he was making a heart because I think he shaved half of his beard and nuts and stuff like that. But it's this was all done with picture out of the camera.
Yeah.
So this is a Dutch guy, and I thought the colors were nice, and he just made a bar.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's standing on the other one, but it's just optical illusion.
Yeah. It's cool. Let's have a look at this one.
And this one has, I've done this. The one on the left was the death of Prince Bernhard when he was years ago. The one with the white wig. This is our we have to be there all the time, and it's so dull. You cannot do anything, but this is the one time that they think spot news could be interesting. Follow this man. You might get spot news. I don't say anything more, but you amuse your imagination, and they just want to make sure that we get a good picture instead of an iPhone picture.
If something happens,
and we don't want an iPhone picture, we want a good picture.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. I don't want an iPhone picture. I want a good picture.
Yeah. But believe me, if there's only an iPhone picture,
they would be very happy.
Very happy to have it, and even Twitter accounts, and we're always following stuff like that. But this is news, and then we have colorful news like the photo op day of the king, and they do all kinds of funny things for the camera.
Well, King's Day is coming up, isn't it?
This is the wedding of.
Will you be working on King's Day then?
No, my colleague from Belgium wants to do it once, and he comes over. Left is 2002, 2nd of February, the wedding.
Yeah.
When they came out, this was shot in the D2000 camera. And then I went with them to the Antilles, with the first visit as a royal couple to the Netherlands Antilles. I followed them. Of course, you have to have the kids. This was my assignment. So they give you assignments with Roy to say, Michael, whatever you do, we want this picture.
Yeah.
And this was it.
Ah, right. So you have a brief.
I have a brief, yeah. There was an assignment. I can do many things, but don't miss this picture.
Yeah.
And in 2010, I used to follow the Dutch team for Reuters in the World Cups and the European Cups. In 2010, they kept me in the final because I do long lenses very well.
Yeah.
And they said, here's an 800 5.6, and you're right across from where they're going to lift the trophy. After the only picture we want from you, sharp, well lit, and within a second is the trophy before the flowers come out. So that's actually like here, because otherwise they squirt all the flowers, you don't see them.
And then you don't see anything, yeah.
So I was there shooting a whole lot of stuff, hooked up to a Ethernet cable. And that picture I shot was, I think we got 80% of the world coverage so fast.
Wow.
I shot 3 images, click, out, and the caption was done already. And then they said, good work, Michael. I think something like 78 or 80% of world online was mine.
Wow.
So that's an assignment, and you don't fuck up.
Yeah.
But I like the pressure. I like that pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other stuff, Queen's Day. This is the gay parade in Amsterdam. Came out some nice light. I've got time to do that. This was other stuff.
Actually, I mean, it's quite interesting. I didn't see that one.
Yeah. You cannot get it up in the program. Well, it doesn't matter. Normally it's sharp.
No. Look, that's what people are seeing. We're only showing representations here because I don't want the whole thing to become a Photoshop kind of thing. Of course they're sharp.
This is also one of the...
Of course it's sharp.
Not everything. This is him with her with Putin.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing we just saw. This is another location.
These are interesting though, the black and whites.
The black and
What's all
whites are
this
from,
about?
this is not when I was working for Reuters, this is what I did for the Red Cross in 1994. I went to Rwanda, the Hutu Tutsi thing, and this was one of the first.
Sorry, when?
1994.
That was when the big genocide thing happened, wasn't it?
This was right after when they started fleeing to Rwanda, and the other one was, anyway, next door.
Wow.
So I was in that camp for 5 days with the Red Cross, and hardly any sleep, hardly any food, flew us in, and I had to come back with slides, and this was then how it worked. You had to wait for 1 week for images. They sent me out, collected a whole bag of slides, whole bag of black and white, flew me back, developed, print, and then it went out to all the press publications the next day. The Red Cross is aiding this, Red Cross is aiding this. And 1 week later I was in Toronto with the Dutch national team in a 4-star hotel. quite the opposite.
Quite
This
a
was
contrast.
this was one of my nicest trips. I mean, what an impact that had. So I'm showing now only the exodus, but there are really horrendous pictures of dead people.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Not showing them. Flight show, but there was black and white. There is also color, but some of it is still in the agency. Voting Dutch way, very traditional. They always like wooden shoes and windmills.
Sorry?
This is voting. You see the two old people there? It's in Staphorst.
Okay, yeah, voting, but you said wooden shoes.
These are maybe you see them here. Oh, no, not these, but these are in Staphorst.
Okay.
It's very traditional with traditional wear. So if we have
so
Dutch
they were
voting-
dressed. So when it comes
this
to
is-
voting day,
No,
they
they're always
dress.
dressed like this.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Not everybody in Staphorst, but many people
Okay.
do. This was this was in Utrecht, some stuff. This was in 1988, the only time we made something with the Dutch national team, champion. Ajax, European champions in 85, Kluivert, 19 years old.
Yeah. These are interesting, the wrestling ones.
These are wrestlers in Senegal. I did a story on Senegalese beach wrestlers.
Cool.
And then, some stuff.
This was quite a team, wasn't it?
Yeah, nice. Yes, interesting. This is one of those feature stories that you cannot come up with. This is a trend in maybe 15 years ago to implant something under your cornea. Is that cornea? The thing under your eye? They cut and then put a little heart in it. Freaks. Anyway, ran all over the world, this picture.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah,
What?
it was done at that time. It was like the ultimate fashion thing to
I've
have a little golden
heard
heart.
of people doing tattoos.
Yeah, this is the predecessor of the tattoo, I think,
Wow.
years ago.
I have never seen anything like that before.
This was from my days when I worked at the Utrecht Nieuwsblad. This is riots with Moluccans in fighting the police with everything they
What,
had.
here?
Yeah, I was in the Capella, I believe it was.
Wow.
Spot news, huh? This is
Yeah.
real spot
Yeah,
news.
that's spot news.
Drawing the guns to get them back. Yeah. They were ready with spear. It was heavy. It was the 1980s.
What?
Yeah.
I moved here at a good time, I think.
Yeah. This is Romario, by the way, if you know him. You see,
The footballer?
yeah, played
Yeah,
for
of course.
for Eindhoven.
Of course.
At those days, you can go into the dressing room and can I take a nice picture of you? Sure, go ahead. Not anymore. So that's why I mean it's been nice to have all these
You've
years.
had a great time.
Yeah.
I never saw these before, so I'm just going through them.
Yeah,
So-
sure.
Oh wow, look at that. Look at the horse.
This is a yearly event. They go with horses on the beach and train them not to alarm, to be afraid of.
Oh, these police horses
police
being trained.
horses, military horses.
Okay.
On the budget memorandum, they have the golden carriage going through The Hague, and
Yeah.
these horses are part of the golden carriage. So they train them not to be alarmed if they throw this kind of light.
Yeah.
But it always makes for a nice picture. Every year the same bits. Anyway, so wooden shoes. The last icy period when they had boats sailing on ice.
Cool.
The one on the left was the windmills at Kinderdijk. I think at least many newspapers, New York Times, Washington Post, front page, So those are nice collectibles. If you,
Yeah,
I
sure.
do search, and not always, but if they run on the front page of the New York Times or Rossi, then I like to keep
I
them.
love him.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
I
Getting old now.
love him.
Well, come to Assen this year might be his last time. You
Yeah,
never know.
no, he is the doctor,
The doctor.
definitely.
So anyway, for Percy here, a photo shoot of 1 minute.
Yeah.
The first child of the king.
Yeah.
We had a.
What is this?
Oh, this is a cameraman getting a nice shot. This Pussy Riot was jailed by her, and there was a. I won't comment on this one. Anyway, Kluivert in. This is film, eh? The Kluivert is film.
Yeah.
Just on the top, you saw what I saw a shot in. I show you, don't know a bit. I show you the one picture that I had to shoot in. This is the one. No,
This one?
Yeah, so, or the one before.
This one?
Yeah, this one or one before with the cup. I think they ran one before this. And this is the goal. This is Iniesta
Yeah.
shooting. And this one, they were happy with this one, but they text me, stay focused, because it was towards the end of the match. And I had to have this picture.
Yeah.
This was
just
the one.
before all
Yeah.
this came down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is nice.
So that's your work.
This is what I work, yeah. Then I have my hobby is the iPhone pictures.
Yeah. So is it normal to do for your hobby what you do for your job? So you must be one of those people that just loves photography.
Yeah.
Just
well, I'm by profession.
loves photography.
Years ago, I studied English, and I thought during my time in America, where I studied film and Spanish at the University of Florida, I became friends with a guy who was a photographer, a local photographer, and I was already into the photography thing as an amateur. And he said, "You want to show me your work, and maybe you can do some work because everybody needs a job in America." And he put me in the dark room and fine. And from then on, I progressed to photography, and I thought, "Hey, this is much nicer than what I'm doing. To become an English teacher, forget about it." And well, thank you. No, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And so I got involved with photography in 1975 or 6, and decided to, that's going to be my profession. And when I came back, I finished my studies, English, got my master's degree, and I immediately went for the Utrecht Nieuwsblad to work as a photographer. And then I was going to say again, why did I go this direction? My training was with people who went from National Geographic, America, USA Today, very famous, became all very famous photographer. And this was my school of training. I mean, I never had any photography training except look at the colleagues, ask them how you do this. And our training at the local newspaper there was bring a nice picture, a feature every day. Everybody fights for the front page. Bring a nice feature every day. So we have to find something out of nothing. Right. And this is something what I do with the iPhone, with my Utrecht every day, my Instagram account, Everyday Utrecht. Yeah. I try to find something every day which is sometimes normal and sometimes out of the ordinary, and try to keep it up every day, but it's not, it's difficult.
The phone book of Utrecht.
The iPhone book of Utrecht, yeah. I have maybe 300 or 400 pictures already, which could have been in a book, but it's hard to get a book out. Everybody does very nice things with their iPhone, and
yeah, I mean, there was when I went to Madeira this year, I did some talking and some classes at a photographic event, photo training overseas, and there was a guy there from Ireland, in Northwest Ireland, Donegal area, I think. So I know him quite well. And he was the first guy who got awarded the, God, I can't remember now what it's called, in photographic associations, when you get the top award, fellowship.
Okay, fellowship.
You get a fellowship in iPhone photography.
Wow.
and he just ran around just with the camera in his hand, look at this one, 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 look at this one. And took some, stunning shots, because you have to be there. But there was this one particular thing where one guy dived fully clothed into the pool. But instead of it being, what happened was actually he was down by the sea, and he was on a small little jetty, and they didn't see the big wave coming in, and he was having his picture taken, and he got covered. But it was only like half wet. And then when he came back into the hotel complex, he then went, I'm going in. So he said, come on, photo opportunity. Do you know what I mean? So it was like really staged. So he did this big dramatic thing. And this guy gets his phone, and then he just puts it on burst modes where you just hold it.
Fabulous.
And then you're just pulling off a frame.
No, that's what I do. That.
That's cool. No, absolutely.
Why not make use of everything that's on the phone?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I still.
And so when I saw, but at the end, when they do the big slideshow at the end, they've got him, and the water's just hitting his face.
8 frames a second.
Yeah, exactly.
And good.
Yeah.
So no, I know why I was saying this hobby. I used to play soccer. So I had a totally destroyed knee. I used to play tennis. Same thing. So. It's totally different from what I do normally. I can fool around with the slides. I can color correct. I do all kinds of things to the pictures, which I think are nice. Because in my daily work, I can't do anything to the picture. It's just
that's the difference.
You can do anything to my picture. It's Instagram.
Because I've been sitting here thinking, why then? Because you tapped me, you stopped me in the street, which really freaks me out. It's happened It's happened twice since I've been here, where. Because I just got my headphones on and I don't know anyone, so I'm not going to meet anybody to say hello, so I'm in the zone, and the only people that stop you are the people who are begging for money. and you just use your credit card here anyway, and I never carry cash anyway, so it's like, I'm really sorry, no, and I carry on working. So when you stopped me and you was with that guy, my immediate thought was you were a beggar.
I look like a beggar?
No, because I had my head down and I was just marching to work, and then when I looked up, I was just about to say, no, I'm sorry, I don't have any cash. And I nearly said that to you. And then you went, Guy. I went, oh, okay. And then we started talking. And then you immediately said, when are you doing some more workshops?
Yeah.
And I went, what? And so why did you come to my workshop then? If you don't edit your pictures in your...
Oh, no, if the pictures are on my website, at least not the ones that I shot for Reuters, because I've been corrected lately that by my editor, my boss, and he saw a picture on my website which I had altered a little bit darker in the background to make it pop. Yeah. I said, no, you use that picture on Reuters and we don't do that because other people will look at it and say, hey, Reuters manipulates. I said, it's my website. He said, no, you have to take it off. It's not done. So I use another image, the one next to it.
Wow.
No, but I really appreciate what you did and do for a dynamic range thing. So I don't want to sit still. I know there is a next level, and you can learn. And I like to teach myself, get colleges or online. And online is not my strongest point. If I sit in the audience, it's much better for me. So when the opportunity came, and it was several years ago, I thought I'll have a look, and I went again a couple of years later, and because I still use them. If for any reason I might tune them down, I still use your actions. I like those. And sometimes I think it's maybe not so good in this, then I'll tune it, like you said, you can work on it.
Yeah.
No, and many people who see it, I say, hey, go to his course. It's just a matter of I appreciate what I learned, and I still use the things. I'm not that good that I can change them all, but I know what's happening, so I can tweak.
Sure.
And that's how I use it.
Well, there's...
And then you have your face stands out, so it's not hard. And plus, I recognize people, so it's not hard to see you. And then in Utrecht, must be here for a new course.
Yeah, no, I live here now. But we are doing some courses, so we will talk in a minute about that. And but I just need to tell Ian, because Ian's a member of the website, and you just said about the dynamic range and all that kind of stuff, and the use of clarity in software now is just everywhere, and you can usually tell by when it's used way too much. So the slider goes a little bit too far, and everything goes like crunchy, and and so this has become a bit of a theme in my latest process action, where I use clarity a lot, and then that increases the quality because we can mask it really well for like skin tones or for landscapes or whatever. but there's detrimental stuff that happens to the image when you run clarity on it. And I was always aware of it, but the benefits outweigh the negative, so we can push it forward, but it really, really slows down the process action. So I've been working on this thing. I'm not going to show it here, but I've been working on this thing, and we kind of nailed it yesterday. When so this is really for Ian, who's watching. So I will be hopefully showing the members of the website this thing where I came up with inventing my own clarity. So what you use clarity for, there's many detrimental side effects to it. It's just so simple to do. You go ding and you get contrast, and it's gone. And the amount of images you see.
I love it on my iPhone. I mean, iPhone pictures are weak now. There's no depth to it. I use it a lot on.
Of course, but masking it so it has a more subtle effect. Like, you don't want it working in skin tones, but you do want it working in the hair. Yeah. So, so I came up with this thing where I don't. In the future, now we're not going to be using clarity in the raw converter, because I've invented one in Photoshop with a bunch of layers and things that work together, and you can control it like to the nth degree, and we eliminate nearly all of the detrimental side effects of what happens when you add clarity.
The new version?
Yeah, it'll be a new version for this year. I won't be able to. I don't think I'll put it into the version. I won't be able to get it into the version that I've got at the moment. Some of the things might be able to, but it will need to wait until the real new version happens this year. But yeah, it's huge. It's and the thing is, each time when I make one and I go, it's now time to do something different, because I've got nothing else to give. I can't ever see it being better.
What I saw in the latest upgrade in people consider the deep tool for photography is Photoshop and Lightroom, but in their Camera Raw there are some other players in the market, Skylum and Luminar and some other things, ON1, and Luminar especially has all these presets which people love. But I now see that apparently from pressure outside, Camera Raw is doing the same thing. They have a couple of buttons you hit, and then you get this new feel, and you see your picture looks all the same. They're really giving into the demands of what is being. Of course. It's not just a standard do it yourself, do it properly. It's like, we'll do some for you. And
or at least to be able to do it, learn something. There's just not the inclination, or a lessening inclination to want to learn something, because I just want it done. I want this thing gone. I want it finished. And so for me, all that kind of preset stuff just doesn't work for me. I understand why people want to use them, but it's just not something I would do.
I was surprised to see that. You just click here and have 6 buttons. Apparently there's demand for it. Lightroom even, so I don't lose Lightroom.
So tell me about your Facebook group.
I host a Facebook.
You're like the host man. You're the
There's another. It was
God.
It originated. It's called Build Professionals. It originated from a guy who was dissatisfied with all the people we spoke about selling the pictures on and calling themselves photographers, and he said, I want to start a group with Build Professionals. And it was a little bit kind of old people moaning, groaning, which I didn't think was very interested. So speaking to him, I more or less took over and tried to give it a shape of only where professionals can share concerns, technique, questions, which really matter to professionals, not what camera should I buy and compact or this and that. I mean, great question. I asked them, but only if it has any added value to the profession. And I think it has about 800 or 900 people. Not all of them are active, but most people read it and they will contribute.
Primarily Dutch?
Yeah, most of it, because I write in Dutch, and there are some people who work here are you would be eligible because you are a professional, you work here. But I have people from Belgium say, can I join? Then that's out of hand. And Belgian people have a lot of differences in their pricing and in their work style. We try to also give advice, and there's now a special group when the people steal your pictures, and they have a special group now for it. I took it away from the bail professional because it started to be people who are always about money, and it's not always about money. It's important that when they steal your pictures to a big firm or a company without paying, that you can go after them with a lawyer and say, listen, you know, this is my work. I have to pay the bill every day. You don't just nick my pictures.
Yeah.
But I took it into a separate group, and now all people are a member of that group too. So it's a lot of people who are in this branch, like, oh, I put it in there for free, my name. We get that every day. I mean, I have a nice, oh, we love your picture. Can we have it for free? Because, and I said, listen, you're the Red Cross. You know how much your managing director makes. You at least pay a decent amount of money to a photographer who is a professional. Yeah, but we get pictures for free all the time, and it has your name under it, so big deal. How was my picture of the? I did it once to get. There was a renovation of the Dom Tower, and they put a nice picture of mine of the start of the Tour de France, really big on the outside of the fence around it, and the guy convinced me, stupid. Convinced me that having my name on there, my website would certainly generate pictures, prints, sales, whatever. Zero. A lot of compliments, like from colleagues, say nice. Zero. This is the impact of your name. Your name is just. I can't go to the baker and say, hey, you know who I am? Give me a bag with your name on it and give me 5 loaves of bread. I mean, it's not old-fashioned. It's just proper managing your business. If someone takes something from you that you've worked for, you've invested for, take care of your business. You know, it doesn't have to be with everybody, but if someone with a reputable name or a company or a magazine or whatever takes your picture without your permission, it happens to you, I'm sure. People will steal your action and start them on the website and say, hey, I've got this great action. Ridiculous. If you had a way to sue them, sue them.
Yeah, I kind of have multiple different views. I think it's on a case-by-case basis. I can't say here's my approach to that.
But your stuff is not copyrighted?
Yeah, but the copyright is only useful to anybody who has the money to enforce the copyright.
No, okay, it's true.
So, and then when if somebody has more money than you, and they know maybe you don't, you know what I mean? It's like you're going to enter this game of poker, and then before you know it, you're all in.
No, that's true.
Because of what?
No, and I think it's really ridiculous when you have your business and people walk away with your skills and put it on their website. Listen, this is how...
Oh, some of the things that have happened in the past, you just wouldn't believe it. I mean, I think the things that... I don't know, I mean, I always equate things back to growing up and how it was never deemed to be ripping somebody off when a friend of mine got a new album and then he came to my house with the album and then he would let me make a copy to tape because it's not a verbatim copy. He's not making another vinyl. I'm not copying his original to a verbatim original. It's a downward quality copy. So we would share albums and stuff and make copies of each other's albums and things. And not at one point in time did any of us ever feel that we were doing anything illegal. And then when somebody would read a book, and then somebody comes to your house and you've read a book that you really like, hey, read it. You know,
yeah,
I've done it. And books being handed to friends, family members, or whatever. You know, did anybody ever stop and think?
But they're not making. But they're not making money.
I give away
pictures a lot. I give a lot. The people who I photograph, you want a picture? Fine, here you go. And if they're famous or if they're in the news, I say, here's your picture. Use it for Instagram, whatever you want. If someone asks you for this picture in a magazine, call me. Because then it gets professional. And then it's a publication. Someone makes money. I want to be part of that someone. And it's not stupid. It's just doing business. I mean, it's not old-fashioned. It's the proper way of doing business.
But they see there's this big grey space now because I'm not a working photographer. I'm a part, in the sense I work within the industry or outside as a supplier to the industry, as I have many industries. And so I know it very well, very intimately from a number of different countries' perspective. And the venom in which, understandably, you would go for somebody who's stealing your picture would be justifiable, right? You've got no right to steal my picture and then either hang it on the wall or sell it to somebody else. But people will come to my lectures or come to my website, they will learn the things that I teach them and then go and stand tomorrow night in front of their camera club and teach everything I've just taught with not a millisecond of thought that actually that's probably not a good thing to do. But I have no problem with that whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So you can't steal my picture, but I can regurgitate what I've learnt from you countless times to elevate myself, and it's all the time, just all the time, whether it be other speakers or it's just opportunism. And I just think this land of digital is just a melting pot of opportunism, and I can't help but feeling that when standards and consideration reduces because of the buck, because that's usually it. You know, there's an opportunity over there, but you know, I'm going to be crossing a few lines to go down there. You know what? Who cares? Yeah, because everybody else is doing it. Who's really going to do anything about it? And that's where I think we are at the moment. And so, but it isn't going to stay that way. It's only going to continue moving in that direction. So I'm more intrigued in, if I'm still around in 10 years, 15 years, when I look back at this time, where it's heading, I'm unsure as to whether it's heading in a good direction, really. That just because there's so many professions that are being marginalised and undermined, where the people who have made families and paying for houses and paying for a lifestyle, where somebody sits in a tech lab somewhere, releases something on the into the industry, and then it's gone, just gone. True. Over and over and over again. And the problem is now you invest in a camera, like you were saying, you know, am I really going to invest in 2 cameras? Yeah. No, because there's not the money in the job anymore. You would have.
If I were 50, maybe yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, the one I have, the 2 cameras are really very good cameras. Mm. There are better cameras now, but I still shoot good, sharp, well-lit pictures. Mm. And it's not a joker camera.
So when you say sharp all the time, because obviously sharp is probably the most important thing. Because if it's not sharp...
If it leaves my camera, it has to look sharp.
Yeah.
Okay? In your standards, it has to look sharp. Okay. Because the sharpening is not
So that's not camera, that's lens, right?
That's lens. Yeah, the lenses are good. I mean, why buy an expensive camera with a bad lens?
Yeah, I bought... When I... Even though I bought loads of cameras in the past, there was once I had a house in the big boom time in the UK in the 80s, I think it was. I had a house for I think 3 months, and I made about 8,000 profit on this house in 3 months. It was just insanity. Mm-hmm. And I spent it all, and I went and bought the very first Canon EOS camera. Do you remember the very first EOS film back camera? I've got it at home, and I bought everything to go with it. So I've been buying cameras for a really long time. But then when I then moved with the Adobe thing and the Nikon thing that I was doing and everything, the same Nikon, and I wanted to buy myself a camera, I found the lens I wanted, and then I said, what camera can I put on the lens? Because I learnt very early on that it's the lens that does the job. And my favourite lens at the moment is the 85 prime lens, because I don't care about speed or anything, because I'm not you, and I just like walking around, and I like really getting close and it being just perfect.
What's this one?
Yeah.
Which one is that?
Oh no, this is actually been given to me by Kel alone. That's a Fuji. Okay. I'm just intrigued. I see this huge movement towards Fuji as either being the preferred second camera to professionals, or loads of people actually starting to use this to do weddings and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I want to know why. I'm just intrigued. Yeah. And there's so many people I know who are just in love with their Fuji cameras. Have you ever tried them?
Yeah. Yeah? Yeah. They're nice. Well, I like full frame.
Right.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So what else shall we discuss?
I think we're done. I think we're done for this. But this is only just introducing you.
Good.
And giving us kind of food for thought of what we'll talk about next time.
Well, let's hope the viewers liked it, and
it's just fun.
That's good.
It's just
I
fun,
had a
and
good time.
it's just good to just hear another person's perspective on everything and anything to do with being creative. That's the reason I'm doing it. So
excellent.
So thanks for coming, buddy.
Yeah, great. There were actually quite a few pictures that were done with your.
Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in,
Yep.
and I will see you soon. I'll leave it just for a few seconds before I stop the broadcast.
It's already here.